Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in February. I read these 3 books, and first up was 1984 by George Orwell with this rather jazzy cover, and I did get this from a library book sale and it was only 25 cents, so that was an absolute steal. Anyway, I know this is a super famous book, but I'll give you the basic premise anyway. It is set in a dystopian world where everyone is watched and anything you do or say is heard by the government, and this story follows the main character who is realising what is going on and that everyone is being controlled and they're not allowed to do and say certain things. And he's beginning to go against that, even though he knows that it is punishable and he could even be killed because of it. So I'm well aware that this is, a very highly rated and reviewed book, and I went into it thinking that this was an easy 4-star, possibly a 5-star read. I was really looking forward to it. I ended up actually only giving this a 3-star rating. It was a very difficult decision. I was torn between 3 or 4 stars, but ultimately I decided on 3. I thought that was more fitting as to how I felt about it. So the good bits of this book are amazing, absolutely brilliant. Certain parts of the story and the way it's written I absolutely loved, really enjoyed reading it. I thought all of the important issues that this book brings up were again absolutely brilliant and very well done, but amongst that were just these really long stretches of incredibly dry and dense writing that I just did not get on with, and that really affected my overall view of the book. I feel like I'm in the minority with not giving this a super high rating, and so I don't know whether there's something that I missed or that I didn't get or whatever. If you have read this and you love it, please let me know what you think, because I'm really interested to hear more about why people love this so much. Like I say, I think the ideas in it were incredible, especially for the time that it was written, which was in the 1940s. So it was really ahead of its time, as they say, and especially today in 2017 with all the fake news and alternative facts that we have going on, it's pretty crazy. Another thing that I didn't like about this is the way that women are depicted, and they're not depicted very well or very nicely. It's a pretty horrible view of women in this book in general, and at first I thought, oh okay, that's the view of this world, of this government, this is what people are meant to think about women, how horrible, imagine that. But then I realised, no, this is the main character who has these feelings and these thoughts. This is the main character who is supposed to be going against what he's supposed to think and do. So if he has these horrible views of women, I don't know, that just really didn't sit with me very well at all. So again, if you read it and you have any thoughts on it you'd like to share, I'd be really interested to hear about it. So yeah, it was a really mixed bag. I found it really difficult to get through because it was just this back and forth of being really into it and really engaged and enjoying it, and then these huge stretches of, quite frankly, dull and boring writing. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to only give this a 3-star rating, but that's how it panned out. And it's not that the content of the story is bleak and depressing, because I'm totally okay with bleak and depressing. That was not my issue with it at all. I found it really tough at times, which was a shame because, like I say, some of it was just absolutely brilliant and I loved those parts of it, but then it got dragged down by the other parts of it that were just really repetitive and uninteresting. Anyway, so after that I just wanted something a bit more fun, a bit easier to read, and I picked up The Cormorant by Chuck Wendig. And this is the third book in a series following the main character Miriam Black. And she has a power where if she touches you, she's able to witness your death. So she knows how you die, and this of course leads her onto many crazy adventures and antics and lots of other crazy characters. So I've already read the first two books in this series, Blackbirds and Mockingbird, and this one is the third one. I believe there is a fourth one coming out, or it may have already come out by now, and that is called Thunderbird. I'm not sure if that's the last book in the series. I need to find out, and I also need to get it and read it. I've really loved this series. It's just such a fun, entertaining read, super fast paced, super, you know, film, cinema-like. It's kind of like you're watching a film basically. Witty dialogue and lots of swearing and violence. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then I would highly recommend this series. So the first book in the series, Blackbirds, I thought was really awesome, thoroughly enjoyed it. The second book, Mockingbird, was also really good, I just didn't feel it was as good as the first one. And then the third one, The Cormorant, it was, yeah, back up to par with the first one for me. I thought it was absolutely brilliant and thoroughly entertaining. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. Oh, and a side note, this book was not thrifted, it was not secondhand. This was actually a new to me copy, which is a rarity, but this one was a gift from my husband a year or two ago, and yeah, I'm only finally getting around to reading it. So yeah, this one I would highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. And the third book I read this month was 13 Clues for Miss Marple by Agatha Christie. And this one was free to me because it was one that my husband had in a stash of his. So this is a collection of 13 short stories, all featuring the character of Miss Marple, who, if you're not familiar with her, is an older lady who lives in a small village in England, and she just so happens to be really clever and able to figure out whodunit in any kind of murder mystery that happens in her neck of the woods. Yeah, I've always loved the TV shows of the Miss Marple character, and I think it's just something that British people watch a ton of, or is it just me? I don't know, we just love our murder mysteries, I think. And yeah, Miss Marple is certainly no exception. So I haven't read any of the Miss Marple books before. I think I've read some of the Poirot. But yeah, I thought this was a fun introduction to the character. This particular copy was published in the 1970s, but the stories themselves range from the late 1920s to late 1950s. They were all pretty enjoyable, some better than others I thought. My particular favourites were Greenshaw's Folly and The Blue Geranium. Yeah, they were both really good, I really enjoyed them. With them all being short stories, it was just an easy one to, you know, pick up and read 1 or 2 stories here and there. And I wasn't sure I was gonna finish it this month, but I ended up flying through it. So yeah, this was an enjoyable read, and I gave it 3 stars out of 5. So that was everything I read in February. If you have read any of these, let me know. I would love to hear what you thought. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!